I'm Jonathan Watt with the Tara Group International. We hope you're enjoying the content we are putting out, and if you are, please press the like button and subscribe to our channel. We've been talking recently about church history and would like to talk today a little bit about Constantine, Emperor Constantine, and the birth of the Christian empire, sorting out a little bit of fact versus myth. There's few figures who loom larger in church history than Constantine the Great, as we call him, the Roman emperor whose conversion to Christianity in the early 4th century in fact reshaped the religious landscape of the Western world. Now, to some, Constantine stands as a heroic Christian ruler who ended persecution, championed the faith, and forged the foundation of Christian civilization, while to others, he was a shrewd politician who used religion as a tool to stabilize an empire in turmoil. To many more, he's a figure wrapped in layers of legend, theological interpretation, and some historical, remembering and misremembering as well. So we'd like to talk about that a little bit today. So who was Constantine really? What did he actually do? Well, which parts of the story are fact and which are myth, sorting those out, are going to help us answer that query. Understanding Constantine helps us understand not only a little bit about church history, but also it highlights the complex relationship that exists between faith and power, spirituality and politics, belief, and then the rolling on of an empire. These are all intertwined and sometimes in a very complicated way. The world before Constantine showed a good bit of turmoil and persecution. So before his rise to power, Christianity was an often persecuted minority religious movement within the Roman Empire. And while persecution varied from place to place and time to time, the early 4th century, really the latter part of the 3rd and the early 4th century, saw one of the most severe campaigns against Christians in the church. It's what we call the Great Persecution under Emperor Diocletian, and also a few years of his successor as well in the late 200s and early 300s. During this time, across the empire, many churches were destroyed or confiscated. Scriptures were being burned. Christians were sometimes imprisoned or executed for refusing to sacrifice to Roman gods. And you've got to remember, the Roman emperors often viewed themselves as one of those gods. This was the situation that comes about. So here's a fact. Constantine's vision, as we'll call it, marked a turning point in history. There's no question about it. It was a significant turning point. It's one of the most famous episodes, really, in Constantine's entire story. It involves this alleged vision just prior to his engaging the Battle of the Milvian Bridge in the year 312. Now, according to subsequent accounts, Constantine sees a sign in the sky, now variously described as either a cross or as the Greek letters chi and rho, the first two letters of the name Christ, accompanied by the words, "In this sign, conquer." In this sign, conquer. That at least is the reports as we have them. Now, whether the vision happened exactly as described or not, the outcome is historically quite clear. Constantine won that battle at the Milvian Bridge, became sole emperor, at least at that time, of the Western Empire in that part of the Mediterranean, and publicly he associated his victory with the empowerment of the Christian God. That's a statement of fact. That's what he said. Now, here's a little bit of myth. The myth is that Constantine made Christianity the official religion at that time, That's not exactly how it worked. Constantine did not make Christianity the official religion of the Roman Empire off the bat. That would happen subsequently over the years to follow in a number of steps, culminating, in fact, in about the year 380 under future Emperor Theodosius the First. What Constantine did do was to legalize Christianity, making it a legal religion, if you will. He would restore confiscated church property to Christian groups and churches, and he would end major persecutions against Christians and Christian churches. Now, just to be aware, pagan worship continued openly in the empire throughout his reign. That didn't cease to happen, but the Christian church was given some breathing room. Now, here's a fact. Constantine changed the social status of Christianity forever, at least within the empire. He changed its status forever. You see, under him, Christians received legal protection. Clergy were granted tax exemptions. Bishops were given civil authority. The emperor even funded major church building projects, and Christianity shifted from being a marginalized movement to a highly respected and somewhat socially advantageous faith. These are significant changes. Now, a little bit of myth. Constantine was fully Christian in a modern sense, was he, or was he not? We need to qualify this a little bit. Constantine was baptized a Christian near the end of his life, which was a practice consistent with a number of early Christians. His Christian faith seems to be sincere, yet it's shaped by Roman imperial culture to some degree. He still held certain pagan titles, for example, while he was supporting Christian worship and funding churches and promoting moral reform. So if you think you're hearing a mixed message here, that is exactly the case. Fact, Constantine convened the Council of Nicaea, but he did not dictate its theology. He was very careful not to dictate its theology. He brought together church leaders from many places, and he convened this council in northwestern Turkey in the year 325 for a number of purposes, but including to address theological division. It was the bishops, not the emperor, who debated and discussed, and then, for example, wrote the creed that comes out of it, the Nicene Creed. Constantine encouraged unity, but he did not personally create church doctrine. Now, here's a bit of myth. That Constantine manipulated Scripture, or that he chose the books of the Bible and chose which ones to exclude. There is no evidence that Constantine altered Scripture or decided the biblical canon. The canon had been developing gradually across centuries, including at this time, through widespread Christian discussion, argument, consensus, but not by imperial decree. He does not get the credit or the blame for any of that. That was not his move. So here is Constantine's legacy. It's a mixed one. Monumental influence without a doubt, but we can, I think, honestly say there's a mixed legacy. He was a complex ruler navigating an unprecedented moment in history. And his influence includes, well, quite a number of pretty impressive kinds of things. He left some positive legacy. Let's include some of these. Freedom and protection for Christians. That's a fine development and a good thing to have. Global expansion of the faith is made that much smoother by Constantine's initiatives. He supported theological unity, but he didn't dictate it. But on the other hand, there is a complicated legacy that he leaves. There's this new relationship between church and state. So there's increased political influence coming into religious matters. This is part of the complexity of what he left. Now, we want to recommend some, we think, suitable resources that may help you. A key one is Constantine the Emperor, a book by David Potter. You can find the Amazon link down below with the information here. We find this among a number of other books that are very helpful in getting to know the legacy Constantine left and how this has influenced church history. So you can bring this teaching to your church or event, explore this in further detail perhaps, or bring some other things to your group as well. Atara Group International offers dynamic, engaging workshops, keynote sessions on church history, biblical studies, leadership, Christian formation, whether for a church retreat, a leadership summit, a Bible study series, or women's ministry gathering. We bring depth and we try to bring clarity and inspiration that is tailored to your community needs. So please consider booking Atara Group International to teach on, well, church history or other topics. You can visit our website or contact us directly to schedule your event today. Thank you.